Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why only 1% of people seem to achieve big success, while the rest just dream about it? What if I told you it's not about talent or money? It's about something deeper. A mindset. A mindset you can learn. Stay with me till the end, and I'll show you exactly what the 1% do differently, and how you can do it too, no matter where you're starting from. Chapter 1. The secret is not what you think. Most people believe that success comes from big things, like having rich parents, going to famous schools, or being lucky. That's what we often hear. We think, if I had more money, or if I were smarter, maybe I could succeed. But let me tell you something. That's not the real secret. The truth is, many of the most successful people in the world started with nothing. They didn't have money. They didn't have perfect English. They didn't go to the best schools. But what they had was a mindset, a very special way of thinking, and that mindset made all the difference. This is what we call the 1% mindset, the way the top 1% of people think differently from the rest. Now let's go deeper. There are two main types of mindsets. One is called a fixed mindset. The other is a growth mindset. Let me explain them simply. A fixed mindset means you believe things cannot change. You believe that your talent, your intelligence, your skills, they are just what you were born with. For example, if someone says, "I'm not good at English," and they stop trying, that's a fixed mindset. They believe they can't improve. A growth mindset is the opposite. It means you believe you can change, grow, and learn. Even if you're not good today, you believe you can get better. You understand that learning takes time. You're okay with making mistakes because you know mistakes help you learn. Let me tell you a quick story. There were two students learning English. Both of them failed their first test. One said, "I'm just not good at English," and gave up. The other said, "Okay, I made mistakes. Now I know what I need to practice." A few months later, the second student was speaking fluently. Why? Not because they were smarter, but because of their mindset. This is the beginning of the 1% mindset. You stop believing that your situation today is permanent. You start believing that you can improve, little by little, and become better than before. Here's a simple example. Imagine a rock and a seed. A rock stays the same no matter what. But a seed, it grows. Slowly, quietly, and with time, it becomes a big tree. The fixed mindset is like a rock. The growth mindset is like a seed. The 1% always choose to be seeds. Now, let's connect this to your life. Maybe you're learning English. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you just want to feel better, more confident. Whatever your goal is, the first thing you need is the belief that growth is possible, that you are not stuck, that your future can be better than your past. Many people give up before they even start. They say things like, "I'm too old," or "I failed too many times." But here's what the 1% know. Your past does not decide your future. Your mindset does. Let me pause here and ask you, have you ever said to yourself, "I can't do it"? That's okay. We all have. But from today, I want you to catch those thoughts. When you hear that little voice saying, "You're not good enough," I want you to say back, "Maybe I'm not good yet, but I can learn." That one small change from "I can't" to "I can learn" is powerful. It's the first step toward the 1% mindset. Now, here's something interesting. Even science supports this idea. Studies show that when people believe they can grow, their brain actually changes. New connections form. Learning becomes easier. The mind becomes stronger just by changing your thoughts. This is good news for all of us. It means you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to learn, to try, and to grow. Let me leave you with this thought before we go to Chapter 2. Success is not a talent. It's a decision. A decision to believe in growth. A decision to keep going, even when it's hard. A decision to say, "I will not give up because I'm just getting started." And this decision, my friend, is the beginning of the 1% mindset. Chapter 2. Discipline is the real superpower. In the last chapter, we talked about how the 1% mindset starts with a simple belief that you can grow. But belief is only the beginning. What comes next is what truly separates the 1% from everyone else. It's not magic. It's not motivation. It's something far more powerful and much simpler. It's discipline. Now I know that word can sound a little scary. When people hear discipline, they often think about strict rules or punishment. But that's not what we mean here. Let me explain it in a better way. Discipline means doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing it. It means waking up when the alarm rings, not pressing snooze 5 times. It means studying English for 10 minutes a day, even when your mind says, "Let's just relax today." It means choosing the hard thing now, so life becomes easier later. You see, motivation is not reliable. Some days, you feel motivated. Most days, you don't. That's just how humans are. But the 1%, they don't wait for motivation. They rely on discipline. Let me tell you a true story. There was a young woman named Maria. She wanted to improve her English and become a nurse in another country. But she worked long hours in a restaurant. She was always tired. She didn't have time or energy. But every night, every single night, she studied English for 15 minutes, sometimes 10, but never 0. It didn't matter if she was tired. It didn't matter if she didn't feel like it. She made a promise to herself, "I will show up." 6 months later, she passed her English exam. 1 year later, she got the job. Was she the smartest person in the room? Number. Was she the most talented? Number. But she was the most disciplined, and that made all the difference. Now let's pause. Think about your own goals. Maybe you want to speak English fluently. Maybe you want to start a new career, travel, or just feel more confident. Here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to study for 3 hours a day. Just start with 10 minutes. Every day. No excuses. That's how the 1% build their power. They keep showing up. Here's another way to understand it. Discipline is like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth for 10 hours once a month, right? You brush for 2 minutes, twice a day, every day. That's how you stay healthy. Learning, growing, building your future, it works the same way. But here's what most people do. They start with big energy. I'm going to study English for 2 hours every day, and they do it for 2 days. Then they stop. Why? Because they made it too hard. Discipline is not about doing everything. It's about doing something every day. Small, simple, regular actions. Here's a tip the 1% use. They create routines. A routine is just a simple plan that you follow daily. For example, every morning I will learn 3 new English words. Or every evening I will watch a 5-minute video in English. That's it. Nothing big, but powerful. Why is this so powerful? Because it creates momentum. Momentum means once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. Like a small snowball that rolls down a hill and becomes bigger. That's what discipline does. It starts small, then builds into something amazing. But here's the key. Discipline is not always exciting. In fact, most of the time, it's boring. The 1% know this, and they don't care. They don't need it to be exciting. They just care that it works. The 99% wait for inspiration. The 1% take action. Let me share one more story. This one's personal. When I started teaching English many years ago, I wasn't confident. I made mistakes. I felt nervous. But I made a rule for myself. Every day I will become just a little better. I will read. I will prepare. I will learn. Some days I didn't feel like it, but I did it anyway. And after 25 years, I'm still learning, still improving, still disciplined. Now it's your turn. Think about your life. What is one small action, just one, that you can take today? Something you can do every day, no matter what. Remember, success is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with discipline. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful ideas in the world, how to become 1% better every day. This idea will change the way you think about growth forever. Chapter 3. 1% better every day. So now you understand discipline. You understand that success is not about being motivated, but about showing up every day, doing the small things that matter. But here's the next question. What happens when you do that? What happens when you stay consistent, even for just 10 minutes a day? The answer is one of the most powerful ideas in the 1% mindset, compound growth. Don't worry, it sounds like a big word, but it's actually very simple. Let me explain with a story. Imagine 2 people. One decides to improve their English by learning 1 new word every day. That's it, just 1 word. Doesn't sound like much, right? The second person says, "That's too small, it won't help," and does nothing. Now fast forward 1 year. The first person has learned 365 new words. They understand more conversations. They can speak more clearly. They feel more confident. The second person, still stuck in the same place, waiting for the perfect day to start. This is what the 1% understand. Small changes, repeated daily, create big results over time. Let me give you another example. Imagine you have a glass of water. You drop 1 small drop of red color in it. Nothing changes. It still looks clear. But what if you drop 1 small drop every day? After 10 days, 20 days, 50 days, slowly the water turns red. You didn't see the change on day 1 or day 2, but the change was happening, bit by bit. quietly. This is how life works. This is how success works. Not in loud, dramatic ways, but in silent, small steps. Now, let's talk about you. Maybe you want to become fluent in English, or start a side business, or feel more confident in life. And maybe that goal feels too big, too far away. That's okay. The secret is not to make a big jump, but to take a small step. Just ask yourself, what can I do today that will make me 1% better than yesterday? It could be reading a page of a book, writing 3 sentences in English, watching a short video with subtitles, or saying 1 sentence out loud in front of the mirror. That 1% doesn't sound like much, but here's the secret. If you improve by just 1% every day, you will be 37 times better after 1 year. That's not a small change. That's a transformation. Let me tell you about a man named Hiroshi. He moved to a new country and didn't speak any English. At first, he was shy. He didn't talk to anyone. But every day, he promised himself to say 1 English sentence. Just 1. Sometimes he would say it in a shop, sometimes to a friend, sometimes just to himself. After 30 days, he felt a little more confident. After 60 days, people started talking to him. After 6 months, he gave a short speech at his school event. How did he do it? 1 sentence a day. That's it. 1 drop, 1 seed, 1 step. This is what the 1% mindset teaches us. Focus on progress, not perfection. The problem is, most people quit too early. They say, I don't see results. But the 1%, they keep going, even when they don't see immediate success, because they know the results are growing under the surface, like roots of a plant, quiet, invisible, but powerful. And here's another secret. When you focus on getting 1% better, you take pressure off yourself. You stop expecting perfection. You stop feeling like a failure. You start building a habit of winning every day. Even a small win makes your brain happy. You feel proud. You feel strong. You want to do it again tomorrow. This is how confidence grows. Not in one big moment, but in small, daily wins. Now, I want you to pause and think. What's your 1% today? What's one small thing you can do right after watching this video that will move you forward? Write it down, say it out loud, commit to it, and tomorrow, do it again. You don't need to be twice as good. You just need to be a little better every day. That's how the 1% win. Not because they're lucky, but because they show up, stay consistent, and grow step by step. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about something every successful person faces, and it's not easy. It's failure. How do the 1% handle mistakes and setbacks? What do they do when things go wrong? Most people give up. But the 1%, they do something different. And that makes all the difference. Chapter 4. How the 1% handle failure. Let's be honest. Nobody likes to fail. It feels bad, it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it can feel embarrassing or even painful. But here's the truth that almost no one talks about. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Yes, read that again. Failure is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something real. You see, the 99% try something, make a mistake, and say, "See, I'm not good at this." They stop. They walk away. They feel ashamed. But the 1%, they look at failure and say, "What is this trying to teach me?" This mindset is everything. Let me tell you why. Failure is feedback. It's information. It's your teacher. It's the world showing you what doesn't work, so you can learn what does. Imagine this. A small child is learning how to walk. They fall down, again and again, maybe 50 times, maybe more. But have you ever seen a baby fall down and say, "Oh no, I guess walking isn't for me"? Of course not. They keep going. They don't think of it as failure. They think of it as learning. And that's exactly what the 1% do. Let me share a story about Rahul, one of my former students. Rahul wanted to pass his English speaking exam. He studied hard, watched videos, practiced every day. But when he took the test for the first time, he failed. He was heartbroken. Most people around him said, "Maybe it's not for you. Maybe English is too hard." But Rahul didn't listen. He looked at his mistakes. He wrote them down. He asked for help. He practiced his weak points every day. He failed the second time too. But not by much. He kept going. On his third try, he passed. And not just passed. He got one of the highest scores in his group. Now, let me ask you this. Did Rahul succeed in spite of his failures? Or because of them? The answer is clear. Without those failures, he would not have grown. His mistakes pointed him in the right direction. This is how the 1% think. They don't take failure personally. They take it professionally. They use it to grow. Let me give you a simple formula that the 1% live by. Failure equals learning, greater than adapting, greater than growing. Every mistake is like a mirror. It shows you where you need to grow, but you have to be brave enough to look in the mirror. Here's another important point. The fear of failure stops more people than failure itself. Many people don't even try because they're afraid of falling. But what if, just what if, falling is part of the journey? Let's say you're practicing English. You say something wrong. Someone laughs. You feel small. You want to stop speaking. That's natural. But here's the 1% response. Great. Now I know how not to say it. Next time, I'll say it better. This small shift from "I failed" to "I'm learning" is a massive mental upgrade. It builds resilience. It builds courage. Because here's something nobody tells you. Success is built on failure. It's not clean. It's not easy. It's messy. But every successful person you admire, every speaker, every leader, every teacher, has failed many times. They just didn't quit. Even I've failed many times. I've forgotten my words while teaching. I've tried new things that didn't work. But every time I asked myself, what can I learn from this? And because of that, I kept growing. The 1% mindset teaches us that failure is not the end. It's the beginning. The real danger is not falling down. The real danger is staying down. So next time you make a mistake, I want you to smile. Yes, actually smile. Say to yourself, "Good. I'm growing." And then try again, with better information and stronger determination. You are not your mistakes. You are your response to your mistakes. And one more thing, the people who laugh at your failures, they're not your future. They're your past. Let them go. The 1% surround themselves with people who support their growth, not mock it. And that's what we'll talk about next. In Chapter 5, we'll explore how your environment, the people, the content, the energy around you, affects your mindset deeply. You'll learn how to create a 1% environment, even if you're starting alone. Chapter 5. Environment is everything. So far, we've talked about how the 1% mindset is built through belief, discipline, daily improvement, and learning from failure. But there's something else that plays a huge role in your growth, and most people never even think about it. It's your environment. Now, when we say environment, we don't just mean where you live. We mean everything around you. The people you talk to, the content you watch, the energy you feel, the voices you listen to, even inside your own mind. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever felt excited about something? Maybe learning English, starting a new habit, or setting a big goal. And then you shared it with someone, and they said, "That's not realistic." Or, You can't do that." How did that feel? You see, your environment can either lift you up or pull you down. And the 1% know this. That's why they protect their environment like it's gold. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Tomas. He wanted to improve his English, get a better job, and move to another country. But everyone around him, his friends, his co-workers, would laugh at him. They'd say, "Why are you wasting time watching English videos?" Or, "Come hang out, you're being too serious." For a while, Thomas listened to them. He slowed down. He stopped practicing. He started to doubt himself. But then one day, he made a choice. He started following positive people online. He joined a small group of learners who supported each other. He found a teacher who believed in him. And slowly, everything changed. Not because Tomas changed, but because his environment did. This is the secret. If you can't change the people around you, you can change the input you allow into your mind. If your friends aren't supportive, follow people online who are. Watch videos that teach you, inspire you, and push you forward. Read stories of people who have done what you want to do. Turn your phone, your YouTube, your time into a tool for transformation. Because your environment speaks to you every day. It tells you what's possible, what's normal, what's okay. And if you spend all your time in an environment where people complain, make excuses, or give up, guess what? You start to think that way too. But if you spend time in a space, even online, where people are growing, learning, and thinking big, your mind starts to shift. You start to believe more is possible. This is what the 1% do. They choose their environment carefully, intentionally, and they leave behind what holds them back, even if it's uncomfortable. Let's be clear. Sometimes this means letting go of people, not in a cruel way, but in a kind, honest way. If someone is constantly negative, always pulling you down, always telling you to stop dreaming, you don't have to hate them. But you also don't have to listen to them. The 1% don't waste time arguing with people who don't want to grow. They just keep moving forward, quietly, calmly, strongly. Let's also talk about the content you consume, the videos you watch, the music you listen to, the books you read, the things you scroll past on your phone. All of it matters. If you fill your mind with fear, gossip, noise, or distraction, that's what grows. But if you feed your mind with learning, inspiration, and challenge, your mindset changes. Your motivation increases. You start thinking differently, speaking differently, living differently. Think of your mind like a garden. Whatever you plant grows. So the question is, what are you planting every day? Even as an English learner, you have so much power here. Instead of watching a video that wastes your time, watch one that teaches you 3 new words. Instead of following someone who complains, follow someone who teaches. Instead of listening to your inner critic, listen to your inner coach. Let me give you a small but powerful tip. Design your space for growth. Put a small note on your wall that says 1% better. Keep your notebook or flashcards somewhere visible. Watch videos, like this one, that feed your future, not your fears. Because when your environment changes, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, your actions change. And when your actions change, your entire life changes. So before we move to the final chapter, I want to ask you something deeply personal. Who or what in your environment is helping you grow? And who or what is slowing you down? Be honest. Be brave. Because your future depends on what you allow around you. In the next and final chapter, we're going to put everything together. You'll learn exactly how to think, act, and live like the 1%, starting today. No more waiting, no more watching, just doing. Chapter 6. Start thinking like the 1% today. Now we've reached the final chapter of this journey, and by now, you've learned something that many people will never understand. The 1% mindset isn't about being rich, or being perfect, or being born lucky. It's about how you think, and that means it's something you can choose. Right now. Today. Let's take a quick look at what you've learned. You learned that success doesn't start with talent. It starts with a belief. A belief that you can grow no matter where you're starting from. That's the first step. Then you learned the real secret is not motivation, it's discipline. Showing up every day, doing small things that matter. Even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. After that, we talked about the power of tiny improvements. Just 1% better every day. It's small, it's simple, and it works. This is how the 1% build their future. One quiet, consistent step at a time. Then we faced something tough. Failure. But now you know, failure is not the end. It's your teacher, your guide, your training ground. The 1% don't avoid failure, they grow from it. And in the last chapter, you learned about environment, how the people, content, and energy around you shape your thinking. That's why the 1% are so careful about what they allow into their space. They create a world that feeds their growth. And now we're here. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to stop thinking like the 99% and start living like the 1%? Because here's the truth. Nothing changes until you do. Not the world, not your habits, not your future. It all begins with one small decision. I'm going to think differently from today. Let me make it even simpler for you. The 1% mindset comes down to 5 small choices. 1. Believe you can grow. 2. Do the work, even when it's hard. 3. Improve just a little every day. 4. Learn from every mistake. 5. Protect your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. These are not just ideas. They are tools. If you use them, your life will change. Slowly, quietly, but completely. You don't need to wait for January or Monday or a perfect moment. There's no perfect moment. The only real moment is right now. And here's something I want you to remember. The 1% mindset isn't about being better than others. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's personal. It's private. It's powerful. Even if nobody claps for you, even if nobody believes in you yet, you keep going. Because you're not doing this for attention. You're doing it for transformation. And guess what? You don't need to change your whole life today. Just change your next decision. Instead of saying, I'll do it later, say, I'll do it now. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I'm learning. Instead of watching one more video without action, take one small step. One word, one page, one sentence, one habit. That's how the 1% live. And now, that's how you can live. Not someday. Not after you become ready, but today. Because the moment you decide to change your mindset, you've already joined the 1%.